Q school's due on Thursday. I don't have enough money. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have enough money to maybe drive home. Like, I'm in trouble here.
Holy shit.
And he goes, don't worry about it. And he wired me 6,000. So not only did I pay the tour school, now I got an extra 1,500. And I went on that week at Houston and I won. And I won
Oh
$35,000.
my God, dude. I'm gonna start crying. Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our very good friends at Chevrolet. Chevy EVs for everyone, everywhere. We got a big show. We got two huge interviews, really two great interviews. We got Sam Burns, most recent winner on the PGA Tour. Myself and Dan talked to him. He's back home. He tells some great stories about the whole week. Scottie playing against one of his best buddies, winning in the match play. Some seriously interesting driver sort of issues, and then ultimately worked out in his favor. He's playing great golf and obviously won the match play. And then Frankie and Dan sat with Keegan Bradley, who, from what I understand, he was fantastic.
Yeah, Keegan was awesome. He went on that stretch at the match play where he had played 11 consecutive matches that all resulted going down to 18. He didn't win any of them. Imagine getting to the 18th hole in match play 11 straight times and not winning a single match. Finally got his W this past week, and he tells a funny story about a starburst in his pocket and how he was like, he's super superstitious when it comes to, like, his son tossed him a starburst and he put it in his pocket, and then he was like, oh shit, I don't have the starburst in my pocket, and he was down like 3, put it in his pocket, he comes back, wins the match. So yeah, he's super cool dude. He's the Barstool people's golfer 2.0 after Jim Renner. Mm-hmm. And he was awesome, man. He told some stories that I started tearing up over. I mean, he's just such a passionate guy. He's on a carnivore diet. I'm like, why are you fucking eating just meat at this stage in your career? And he's like, the whole thing. It was great. So I think people are going to enjoy it. We've kind of been all over the place with this episode because of scheduling. Usually we record on Mondays and Wednesdays, and these interviews popped up on a day and time that we're not all usually around, and we're doing stuff. Trent's down in La Berge for the Barstool Classic. I'm leaving for my bachelor party. So it was kind of like, I don't even think Trent's on the show today. So, I mean, I think we're just all over the place a little bit, but two great interviews.
I forgot about that. So we had teased last show that we were going to have Trevor Immelman on today. We ended up getting over an hour with Trevor. That obviously makes sense to just put out on Tuesday. We're idiots, so there's no reason to put him out. And then we got Keegan and Sam Burns, who were phenomenal, like we talked about. So those guys are in this show. Trevor will be in Tuesday's show, talking about everything you could imagine in his beautiful voice and how articulate he is and how awesome and good of a friend he's become to us. So we got a lot of stuff coming up, like Frankie said. So without further ado, we got Sam Burns, we got Keegan Bradley, we got Chevrolet, who are making EVs for everyone everywhere now. I've been looking not only at their website now, but I've been looking at some videos of Chevys, because especially on when I watch YouTube videos, go through different series that I like to watch on YouTube, old Master videos, and the ads pop up, and Chevy's got some ads on there too. And then it makes me go and be like, well, I want to see these things in action. You go look at the Silverado EV, you go look at the Blazer, you go look at the Bolt, all these phenomenal Chevy lines that have been doing it for 100 years, that they've now converted into electric vehicles. And it really makes you proud, kind of like humanity, that we've made these phenomenal vehicles that have, been great for a long time, but have been doing a certain thing with the environment. Everybody understands what's going on, and now we're moving along electric vehicles. Like when you're in a golf cart, which we talk about a good amount as well, and how those have been electric for a while and how quiet they are and the whole deal. Now they've just put that into Chevrolet vehicles. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the advancement in technology, we're watching it. We're living in a wild time. Obviously, every generation has their crazy shit that goes down, and the advancements in technology and how civilization continues to grow and get more, more advanced and all that stuff. But the fact that we're living in a time where it was like gas guzzling diesel cars and trucks and all this stuff, and now electric cars are becoming not only the future, but like the present right now. I mean, what is it, like 1,900 dealerships now are Chevy EV certified. It's like you can't miss it if you tried. You're driving down a main road, you know that there's an electric vehicle dealership somewhere. And that's just a crazy world to live in, that we're just like, the future is now. It's right now. And if you don't jump on it, it's just going to pass you by. You're going to be the outlier that didn't get in on it.
They've also got, and you don't want to be the outlier that didn't get in on it. They've also got convenient ways at Chevy to research and shop the EVs online. So go check out their website, Chevy EVs for everyone, everywhere. Now Lotes is not a word. Let's throw it to two fantastic interviews. Look at that bag. Look at those bags.
You know, I always wonder what people do with the old staff bags, because you guys have new ones, it seems like every 2 weeks. So it looks like some of them adorn your walls.
Yeah. My so last year, PGA last year, President's Cup. I think it's just the majors plus the
team events.
Yeah.
Did they do one for Liberty National? Oh no, that was probably when I was remembering, because Kiz had a bunch of like Liberty stuff, but that was probably President's Cup like 2017 or something like that.
Yeah, one of my buddies texted me. He's like, "What are you gonna do with your so-and-so bag from last year?" I'm like, "You can take it, please."
I feel like that's probably what you do with most of them. You just give them away to people.
Yeah, I mean, like, so we get probably 2 or 3 normal ones, like just like the Callaway. Then you get the majors. I mean, it's like 7 bags. My wife's like, "Please get rid of these."
Do you use the staff bag when you're home practicing, or do you have like a normal bag that you move everything into?
I just use a staff bag. I just throw it on my golf cart because I just drive over to the course. So it's a lot easier than just trying to like throw it in a different bag. I mean, if I have like 3 weeks at home, I might throw it in a different bag.
I think the golf cart, like never getting out of a golf cart to really have to go anywhere, is more in now than it's ever been. It's like when we were filming stuff in Florida in whatever that was, October. And it's like Rory and like Ricky, I think, both showed up just on their golf carts.
Yeah. It was really nice just being able to drive over and have it all on my cart.
Is your cart souped up?
It looks like a normal cart, but it's fast. Like it doesn't have any governor.
But you lift the hood and it's not a normal cart.
Yeah, it's like the original Fast and Furious, where it's like looks like a little Honda Civic, and the thing goes like 250 miles an hour.
Yeah, our club just started. I think that was last year, like allowing personal carts. So that's been nice. We used to have to take it out and all that, but.
Well, we're starting. It's kind of how we roll on the show. I think we have Sam Burns on, obviously the most recent winner on tour. Nice little paycheck you got. I think every time we have you on, like you've just won. It feels like.
Oh yeah, I need to start doing that more often. I think.
I think that's the case. I think like you just won the Valspar, I think, last time, and it's like every time you come on, we have to talk about you being a champ. I was thinking about this question earlier. You obviously beat your best buddy. They didn't mention that on the broadcast at all.
I mean, you probably aren't aware of how much they mentioned that. Like I think you guys are the new Jordan and Justin Thomas. They will not stop talking about it.
You beat Scottie. You knock him out. What's your first point of contact with him after the tournament? Like, have you texted him or talked to him since then?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, like everyone knows, we're really good friends. We spend a lot of time on the road together. It's such a strange situation because, like playing a really close friend, like obviously we're trying to beat each other more than anybody. But at the same time, like as soon as we got done, gave him a hug and said, "Man, love you. Thanks for a great match." Like that was awesome. So like you're battling the emotion of like really happy you won, but also sad for your friend. So it's a weird dynamic, but I know he was pumped for me, obviously disappointed, but excited for me. So it is a strange thing, but I texted with him yesterday and talked to him, so it's all good.
There's you've obviously played with him before when you weren't in match play competitions in a PGA Tour event. How different is it when you're playing a guy mano-a-mano, one-on-one in a match versus just paired together on a Thursday at, Heritage or whatever it might be?
Yeah, it's much different. Usually when we play together in a normal round, we're talking a lot and kind of cutting up. But whenever we played on Saturday, it was a lot more kind of strictly business. We didn't talk near as much as we usually do. But I think we both knew going into it that's how it was going to be. It's like you feel like you're trying to win a golf tournament every single match, and so it's very intense. And I think that's like. Man, I was so just tired, like physically, but also emotionally and like mentally, I was just drained. And I told Caroline whenever we got done, I was like, I don't even think this is really set in because I'm so exhausted right now. I can't even think about anything but just trying to rest. And so, of course, like Monday morning, I get up and kind of do my usual thing. And then, like, all of a sudden, I just start crying. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying right now, but like, it just all hit me at once. Like, the whole week playing Scottie, winning the golf tournament, it was just like, I just started crying. I'm like, this is so strange.
Everything that you're saying is match making me more passionate than ever. Than we have to keep a match play golf tournament around. I mean, hearing you say that, obviously you won the tournament, so you're going to be pro match play right now. But it sounds like it's a different week than any of the other ones that you guys play.
I could not agree more. I think it's, we get in this repetitive cycle of playing kind of the same type of event every single week, and then you have a match play event where every match means so much. I mean, it's so hard just getting out of your group, and then you have to go play a guy like Patrick Cantlay, who's just it's going to be an absolute battle. And so it's like winning a tournament every single match. That's what it feels like, and so it's like every shot means more, and every putt means that much more, because usually it comes down to a guy making a putt or missing a putt. I agree. I think I hope that we can find a way to add this event back somewhere in the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you do. You just get that event paying nice. That's good. It is. I mean, they started to harp on it a little bit, especially during your guys' final match, about how much golf it was. Mm-hmm. And it's shocking because I think the first time I started hearing the number of holes was Sunday morning when they were like, this is Rory's 100th competitive hole of the week. And you're like, oh my God. And then you guys still had to play all day Sunday. And if we do, I mean, we're not athletes like you guys in good shape, but if we do a buddies trip now, I'm 36. It's like we kind of stopped doing 36 holes because it's too much. And we're playing on carts, drinking like cocktails the whole time.
Well, so
you guys are out there
picking up 3-footers.
That's what I was going to say. It's like we're
6-footers.
We're drinking electrolytes, not transfusions, and we're still exhausted. But yeah, it was funny. I think that's also the challenging part of it too. Is like the way that our match went in the finals. It's like it wasn't great for TV because it wasn't necessarily close there at the end. But like. When we got on 13, I was 5 up. I hit a really good 3-wood up by the green. Cam hits in the water, and we're walking off the tee. And I asked my caddy Travis, I'm like, "Hey, if we win this hole, do we win?" And he's like, "I don't even know. Like, let's just play it till they tell us it's over." And I was like, "Okay, that's fair." He's like, "I'm way too tired to think about that right now." But it's a grueling week for sure.
Yeah, you and Cam, you guys had a little bit of like a Stewart Cink 2009 Open Championship going on where the execs were probably thinking we're going to have number one, we're going to have Scottie, we're going to have Rory, and then you come in, and it's made Sunday morning phenomenal. The playoffs, the putt, the back and forth. But then even in the final, he just steamrolled them to the point where it's like, man, they could have had this knockdown, drag out thing that they hype up forever. Instead, you got Burns just waxing the floor with Cam Young. Like you maybe should have walked by one of the NBC reporters or something and been like, dude, I'm sorry about this. Like,
so we get on the tee. Cam and I get on the tee, and we start laughing. We're like, man, this is the match that nobody wanted, huh? He's like, me, my caddy, you and your caddy, and our family and friends are the only people that wanted this match. But it was awesome. I mean, I was very thrilled with how it played. I think, you could kind of see in my match with Scottie, kind of halfway through, I just kind of got a little bit lost and kind of lost my game for 5 or 6 holes, and then kind of surged back towards the end. I think that really carried me on that afternoon. Just played really nice golf, and so yeah.
One thing I love about the match play is, especially as it dwindles down to just a few matches, so you get to see most of the shots. You still don't see all of them. You see most of the shots, see most of the round. And this is one thing I love about PGA Tour Live is that typically the golf coverage, for understandable reasons, kind of just shows the best golf that's being played, and it appears like you guys are you hit the ball perfectly every shot the whole tournament, and it's like somebody barely wins by one, and then they do that every week, and you get into the ebbs and flows of the round, and especially kind of the down parts of it. is so much more relatable to people that play golf a lot of like, you can tell you guys are out of sorts. Now you still are able to make a bunch of pars and even birdies on par fives and like get through it. But it's much better and real, I feel like, as a viewer to see that part of the round.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you're out there sometimes grinding to make a 6-footer for bogey, and you possibly could win a hole with that. And like in a normal broadcast, no one's going to show that you just duffed a chip for, and then you have a par chip that means possibly flipping the hole on someone. So yeah, I mean, it's just like every shot matters so much, which is really cool.
There's vodka in this? The answer is yes. We're talking about Truly. We're talking about something that didn't have vodka in it before that has really changed everything dramatically. And that's because Truly vodka seltzers are out there now. I think I saw it for the first time at the Barstool Classic Championship had it saw it at Greyhawk in November, December, I think that was. And it's taken off since then. People were going nuts. People were thrilled at the result. We loved Truly before. It was great. Somehow it got even better. Amazingly real, delicious fruit flavors mixed with the real vodka. It's kind of a winner, Trent Daddy.
Yeah, I'm down in Louisiana right now for the Barstool Classic stop tomorrow. And there's going to be people are going to be drinking a lot of Trulies. There's going to be a Truly putting contest. Obviously, Truly has been very supportive of the Barstool Classic, which we are hugely appreciative of. And whenever we go to a Barstool Classic, people are talking about how great Truly is, and I'm sure that will be the case tomorrow. So I am, we love Truly. I'm very excited about it.
You're going to hear a lot of positive reviews tomorrow. I think you're going to hear a lot of folks being like, dude, I haven't had the vodkas yet. I haven't seen it with the real vodka. This is amazing, fantastic. I like the fruit, all that. So they got also all 12-ounce cans have under 110 calories, means plenty of refreshing flavor, will not weigh you down, low sugar. Every Truly vodka seltzer contains only 2 grams of sugar. Been supporters of ours for a long time, so we appreciate Truly. Go find some Truly vodka seltzer near you at trulyhardseltzer.com.
So I wanted to ask you about you had a stretch. It was Genesis and then Bay Hill where you missed both cuts pretty badly. And a couple of years ago, no one would really like notice because it was when you miss cuts, people just don't talk about you. But you've played yourself into that tier now where it's like, what's going on with Sam Burns? How'd you turn it around so fast? And when that happens, I guess it happened at the right point of the season because it was sort of before the Masters. Yeah. But what's the level of panic when you're like, okay, like we got some big tournaments going on and things aren't going so hot?
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you asked me about that. I played really well in Palm Springs and then played really well in Phoenix. And we show up in LA and my game feels great, feeling really good, got some confidence. And I get the USGA tests my driver that Monday morning, and it fails about 1 point. Not sure what that means. USGA doesn't really, they don't give you a lot of information on those sort of things. But so my driver fails Monday morning, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, like I don't have a good backup. Like I've got to find a new driver in a day and a half. And I couldn't find one. I tried so many different heads and couldn't find something I liked, and played really bad in LA. Still tried to find one, get to Bay Hill, thought I had a good one, show up on Tuesday playing a practice. I'm like, this is not it. This doesn't work. And like that completely kind of changed everything. I lost all the confidence that I had. I'm scrambling trying to find a driver. I spent so much time. I'm exhausted. Hit so many drivers in the last 10 days, and I still don't have one I like. And so finally, after Bay Hill, I was like, all right, we gotta figure this out. So I got with the Callaway guys, and we got one that I really, really like. But yeah, like those 2 weeks, it's so strange because I feel like I was playing so well, and then like all of a sudden gone. Like I just lost all the confidence I had. I couldn't find a driver that I liked, and then it's like, wow, I just missed 2 cuts, and I feel like I was playing so well. I feel like I'm starting over.
It's very funny to hear you say that because we're TaylorMade guys, you're a Callaway guy, but the trucks and the whole crew, they talk about this a lot. We've been on the truck with them when they'll talk about one of their guys, Rory or whomever, and they'll be like, he requests or he needs a new driver. And they're like, we will build one that is literally
Exact same.
identical to the one that he loved, to the point where it weighs the exact same, down to the gram, down to 1/10 of a gram, to the tape on the grip, down to we put it on the robot hits it the exact same, everything's the same, and then he'll hit like 2 swings and be like, this ain't it, Chief. And they're like, God damn it.
It's so fascinating. It's like you can make the same exact head exactly to the same exact spec and everything, and I can go hit it and 3 balls and be like, this is not even close. And they're like, it's the same thing. I'm like, I'm just telling you, it's not close.
Is that a thing that like once you got on tour, you started to be able to notice that? Because like, or were you in college? Were you like that? I mean, when do you get so hypersensitive to equipment?
I think it was really on tour because you feel like, you have one you really love, and then, whether, it's some bizarre case where it fails and you have to find a new one, and they're just not all exactly the same. I don't know what it is, but it's like once you find one you like, it's like, I'll fight you to not take this from me. Like, I'm not giving you this driver.
I gotta get a source inside the Callaway tour truck for Barstool Sportsbook when I'm putting bets on weeks, and I just need to know Sam Burns' relationship with his current driver. That's the only thing I need to know. I don't need to know anything else. I don't know. Speeds of the greens, what's the weather for? Doesn't matter. Just is this the driver he likes or not? Because if he doesn't like it, he misses the cut by like 7. And if he likes it, he destroys everybody and just wins the match.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It really is. Like, I think that's like a lot of times people just don't see that side of it, and it's tough. It's like that kind of sets up everything for me. And now I finally have one that I really like. So,
well, it's funny. It's been a topic of conversation this year because Rory's had the same problem where he said, like, I can't use my driver from last year anymore. The one, he was leading the tour in strokes gained off the tee. And I don't know. I guess before this year, I never really thought of drivers like putters, where it's like when you got one, you don't want to switch it. I always thought it was like, just, click out the head and put on another head, but it's not like that at all. It's not like you guys where you change wedges all the time, or you changing driver for you guys is a pretty big step, I would imagine.
I would say it's probably the biggest step of any club in our bags. Just, I think with today's game, for me at least, like the driver kind of sets up everything for me. Like if I'm not driving it well, I'm not going to get a lot of opportunities on the greens because, it's hard to get the ball close from the rough, or, I'm just scrambling for par. So it can be really challenging when you have one that you're kind of fighting.
Makes sense. I was we were talking earlier, obviously, about the Scottie and Rory and potential match, and I was thinking like you're pretty close to this becoming that guy. I mean, 2 years ago, Scottie wouldn't have been that guy, right? Like Scottie wouldn't have been the guy that the execs are like, man, we hope he's in this match. And looking, you're 10th in the official World Golf Rankings. You got your 5th PGA Tour win. You're 5th in Ryder Cup standings, which it's like Scottie really kind of vaulted himself a year and a half ago with that Ryder Cup win over Rahm. And then obviously about this time last year, he went on that tear. So it's like, do you kind of feel, obviously on that, I'm talking like pip and star power and all that, but that comes from, performing. Do you feel like you're kind of like right there?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been sort of like I want to get to that level, but at the same time, it's like I just want to be able to play consistently, like really good golf more often. And so I think it's just kind of finding these little areas in my game of, where can I improve just a little bit in these certain areas that don't seem like a lot, but over a period of a year, make a huge difference. And, I think, the more often you can be in contention, the more chances you have of winning, like that obviously helps. And so, especially this past week, I would say the year I've had so far hasn't been at the level I've wanted to play. I feel like it's been close at times, but really, I did a lot of work in my golf swing in Tampa. My coach drove 15 hours from Louisiana and met me down there, and we just, said, hey, we got to figure this out. Like, let's get to work. And I mean, spent countless amount of hours on the range the last few weeks, and finally we're like, this is it. Like, we went back to a field that I had a couple of years ago when I was hitting my best, and we just worked on that. And then, it's like, it's so weird. Like, you go from feeling so lost to like, this is it. Like, I'm playing the best I ever have in a matter of 30 minutes. It's insane.
I love that because that is relatable whether you're a 20 handicap, whether you're a 10 handicap, whether you're the most
100%.
recent winner on the PGA Tour and top 10 player in the world. It's like it doesn't take very long a lot and it
No.
doesn't take much. And what's infuriating is when you're lost and you don't have it.
It
You're
feels like you're
I-
never going to get it again.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah.
I know I've gotten that one clue before that got me there. Like, what is that?
Yep.
You just can't find it. Have you? So this game of yours that's rounding right into shape, that's looking really good. That you made it through 1,000,000 holes last week and were the top player. Have you taken this game up to Augusta yet this year?
I haven't, no. I thought about maybe going this week, but after last week, I'm like, that probably wouldn't do me a lot of good.
You're just crying on your couch. You're like, I'm not going up to Augusta. There's
Yeah,
no way.
and it just happens to be turkey season as well, and so I've kind of been, my mind's been on that a little bit this week. Of
How's your turkey call? Or you got a good turkey call?
yeah, I got a pretty good one. It needs a little work. I haven't practiced
Let's
much.
hear it. We got to hear it.
I
Come on.
need my mouth. I need my mouth ball. Mouth balls.
I saw a
good.
picture of you hunting with David Toms. You guys go way back, huh?
Yeah, so growing up in Shreveport, obviously DT is a legend there, and he has a son, Carter, who's a year younger than me, that we grew up together. And they have one of the best duck hunting places in all of the world. And so I've gone up there a good bit with them and hung out with them a good bit, hunting up there.
The only other Shreveport, Louisiana native I know is John David Booty from USC Trojans football. Are you guys friends?
Yeah.
Because I remember I was a huge USC football fan, and I just remember seeing he was from Shreveport, and that might have been like, Tajikistan
Yeah.
for a California boy.
Yeah, I know John David a little bit. I haven't talked to him recently, but yeah, I know.
That's a name. That's a name
Yeah.
from Blast in the
Yeah.
Past.
Fun fact for you, a young Samuel Riggs Bezoyan has taken down a few turkeys in his day. I'm from
Come on.
St. Charles, Missouri, but my
Yep.
dad's a big outdoorsman, big hunter, big fisherman. He's kind of starting to retire and move out more towards Colorado, so he's selling off some of his land, but he's owned about just under 1,000 acres in northern Missouri and I think 120 acres in southern Iowa for my entire life, basically. So some of the best deer hunting in the world up there, especially in southern Iowa. But growing up, we would get out there and my old man, obviously with the turkey call, the actual, device really good, but he also has a really good natural one where he does like the thumb inside and you get a couple
that's
beers in
impressive.
that and in Dr. Steve and he can just get going.
I love
man.
it.
He can
I
get
love it. That's
going.
awesome.
It's
Yeah,
great.
so my wife's family, her dad and she's got a bunch of brothers, are huge hunters, and so I grew up hunting, but also was like, man, if I'm gonna fit in with these guys, I've got to step it up a little bit.
That's how I am too. I just never had the bug with that. You
Yeah.
know, my brother and my dad are obsessed with it, and I'll go along with it. It's nice to hang out with them occasionally, but
Yeah.
I never get like the bug, whereas they're obsessed with that. So when will you show up to Augusta?
We're gonna go Sunday, like midday. Leave here Sunday midday.
That's so exciting, man.
I'm pumped. Yeah.
Anytime
I mean,
you
That's-
have,
that's
you
week
got to
of the
be
year.
pumped. You won the golf tournament right before, beating like a bunch of amazing. You've got to be. It's like it can't get here fast enough for you.
I'm excited. I think it's because, I finally feel like I'm striking the ball and have a little bit more command than I've had all year. And obviously that's very important around Augusta National. So I am excited in that regard. And, obviously playing well this past week gives me a lot of confidence going forward. And
Let's just hope they don't test drivers on the range.
I will be, yeah, that's not going to happen.
You'd be a nervous wreck. You'd be like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah, that would not be good.
so I believe last year was your first Masters. Is that right?
It was. Yeah.
So you missed the cut last year. What'd you learn? What are you going in this year outside of playing really well? Going into this year, what's kind of been on your mind going in of like, okay, last year's my first Masters. This is my second. I'm pretty red hot right now. This is why I feel better this time.
Yeah, obviously very frustrating last year. I think I didn't necessarily feel as comfortable last year as I would have liked to. Like, obviously, the Masters, you build it up in your head so much and you don't even really need to. It's the biggest tournament we play all year. I think that's pretty apparent. Yeah, I think, I learned a lot about the golf course. It's a golf course that the more you play it, the more you kind of learn these little things about it. And it's very interesting because I felt like I didn't really play that bad, yet I got done and I was like, I just shot 74, but I feel like I didn't really shoot 74. It's like these little things where like, whether you're chipping around the greens, it's like, okay, you can use this slope to that pin or this breaks a little bit more than you think. Like it's all these little mental notes that you kind of just take and I think that's why people that have played well there in the past, like they're so comfortable because they know all these little things. And so for me, it was kind of like, all right, I'm going to take this as, you know, a learning experience. And next time I show up, I'll be a lot more ready.
You got your outfits picked out yet, or somebody picked those out for you?
I haven't really thought about my outfits very much.
I'm just saying, it's a big
It's
week.
part
you
of
know,
it.
there's a lot
It
of
is,
cameras
yeah.
on.
It's a lot of eyeballs.
I hear you. I hear
Sunday,
you.
you got to think about that goes well with that green jacket. You know, you got to kind of put that
It's
on.
true. It's true.
Consider those things. Do you
Yeah.
do anything like? Do you get lost in the sauce? Do you put like a green Sharpie in that week or anything? Like,
I have not gotten lost in the sauce yet, but maybe at some point I will. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
All right.
hopefully, you know, if I need to start kind of figuring out what goes in my green jacket, that'd be nice.
Do you approach, apart from arriving on Sunday, which I would imagine is earlier than you would arrive for a normal golf tournament, is it the same exact preparation, same rhythm?
It is, but it isn't. You know, there's a lot of buzz obviously around the Masters, and so for me, kind of Sunday is just getting everything kind of in order, knocking out all the registration, all that sort of stuff, and you know, that way I show up Monday morning, it's, you know, it's all business. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to prep. And I think for me, I just try to take it this year. I'm going to try to just do everything a little bit slower, take my time a little bit more, and not feel like I get rushed. I think last year I felt like kind of the urgency of, you know, needing to kind of speed everything up and make sure that I was ready. This year, hopefully I'll feel like I'm showing up a little bit more ready, like my game's going to feel in a lot better place. So I think that'll be a lot more comforting.
What is the registration process of the Masters like? Are you driving to the course and you're like, oh, that's me on the list. Yep, Burns, Sam. Yep, you cross that. Like,
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I think last year showing up for the first time, it was just like I was just like wide eyed everywhere I went. So this year, hopefully, I mean, I'm sure I'll still be wide eyed, but maybe a little bit less.
I always wonder how you guys deal with the length of the week and the anxiety to get going you must feel on Wednesday or so, because for me, it's like we start this week. I mean, you're on the show a week before the Masters. Half the conversation is going to be about the Masters. Then Saturday, it's like we watch the women's amateur. Sunday, I watch Bubba go out there and shake hands with all the kids doing the drive, chip, and putt. You get some whispers that maybe Tiger Woods is out there. By Monday, I'm watching like 17 hours of live from coverage. By Tuesday, I'm ready to go. I can't even imagine. Like, you guys gotta be a little bit like I want to play in the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. You get done, you know, with the Monday practice round, you're like, man, I'm ready for this thing to start. We still got 2 full more days before we're even ready. But yeah, I think, and that's kind of part of why I always want to like slow everything down a little bit this year, just because you get out there and you're like, oh, I'm so ready to play, but feeling like I slow down the urgency of that a little bit this year, I think will be helpful.
All right, Sam, congrats, man. Awesome win. Great work. Some clutch stuff. Your putter is just under pressure and really all year pretty much unstoppable. So I'm going to keep my eye on that when it goes to looking at some odds for next week. I saw that you were like on the Barstool Sportsbook, you were like 40-1 to win. So I already put some on that. Not that I need to put that kind of pressure on you, but as I saw that, I was like, that's kind of my guy. But I know you're resting, trying to chill and get ready for the Masters and all that. So obviously we appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Cheers. We'll
Good
see you
luck
down
next
there.
week.
See you down there next week. Yeah, it's not far now.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank
See
you
ya.
guys. Appreciate it.
If you suffer from the symptoms of ADHD, lack of focus, no productivity, your brain is constantly wandering, you know who you are out there. We've all been there before. You need to check out Proper Wild's Clean All Day Energy Shots. Can't recommend these enough. As you guys know, we're busy. We're running all over the country. Trent is in Louisiana right now, Barstool Classic. Frankie's going to a bachelor party. I'm in Scottsdale. We're all going to be in Augusta. Then we're all going to be at the Zurich Classic in a few weeks. We're all over the place. You got to have that energy. Proper Wild uses organic caffeine stacked with L-theanine. I can never remember if you're supposed to say it that way.
I think that sounds right to me.
Theanine. How would you say that, Trent?
That's theanine to me.
We're going to go with theanine, which has clinically been shown to boost your energy, focus, and productivity without the jitters or crash. Can't have jitters if you're going to play good golf, can you?
No, you cannot. And I know there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they drink a lot of coffee and they put a lot of crap in it. They put a lot of cream and a lot of sugar. Drinking that every day, it adds up. If you do the math on it, it's not good. But with Proper Wild, it's organic, it's clean, it's not packed with sugar. Like this is the way to go if you need energy and to stay focused.
No preservatives, like you just mentioned. No artificial sweeteners, like you just mentioned. No horrible chemicals, like you just mentioned. Just a natural tasting energy shot with clean ingredients that work. Go on over to properwild.com/barstool to try Proper Wild, 30% off. Fantastic deal. Again, that's properwild.com/barstool to try Proper Wild at 30% off.
We are now joined by a 5-time PGA Tour winner. He's played in 2 Ryder Cups, a President's Cup. He won the 2011 PGA Championship. He is the Barstool People's Golfer 2.0. People forget that after Jim Renner. He is our guy, Keegan Bradley, in front of the Grove 23 sign, which is one of the coolest backdrops we've had in foreplay history. Welcome to the show, Keegan.
Thanks, boys. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, we were just talking about you last week when with the Dell match play. Obviously, it made its rounds that you had gone. I mean, you tweeted the other day, after 11 consecutive matches coming down to 18, I finally won this year at the Dell match play, and now it's going away, of course, forever. How does that feel, first of all, to be a guy that went down to the 18th hole 11 consecutive times without getting a win? Like, did you just feel like the world was against you when you just played match play? What was going on?
Yeah, I mean, so I got done. I won a match on Thursday, and I did an interview after. And Doug Ferguson, who's a beat writer on the tour, said, "This is your first win since Jordan Spieth was a freshman in high school." I think
High school.
It might have been college. I forget, but it was bizarre. So I'd come down to 18, 11 straight times, and some of them were, me coming back, like against Denny McCarthy. I was 4 down with 5 to go. So those were happy pushes. And then there was a couple. I remember John Rahm. I was 2 up with 2 to go. I lost the last 2 holes. So it's bizarre. And that 18th hole at Austin Country Club is horrible. So you get there and you're just wailing away down there and praying that the ball finds fairway. But it was very, very strange.
So we had Sam Burns on the show earlier, and he obviously loves the match play. He was saying, it can't go away. This is awesome. Obviously, recency bias. He legitimately won the tournament. As a guy who's been on the other end, how are you feeling about it going away? Are you going to miss it? Or are you like, you know what? I don't need to go back there ever again.
I'm not going to miss it for 1 second. That tournament has traumatized me over the years, from getting into fights to losing matches.
That was like one of my favorite YouTube videos when I was in high school. Yeah,
I always know now. I don't have to worry about this, but when the match play comes around, I know that video is going to pop up everywhere I go. And I'm so embarrassed. Like when it comes up, like people send it to me, they think it's like I'm going to love it. Like I immediately click out of it.
You're like, no, this is terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the match play back when it was single elimination. I thought that was way better. Like when you're playing that third day and you're eliminated, it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I get why they did it. And it shows, the Final Four this week were, some of the best players in the world. I get it. But I think if they went back to it, I think they got to go to single elimination.
You said that your son tossed you a Starburst. You put it in your back pocket and that kind of turned things around for you. What flavor was it? I saw everyone kind of going on Twitter about the flavor.
It was red, and so I'm playing Rory. I'm playing Rory on Friday, and every day I would take the Starburst out. I put it in the front of my bag so I could grab it and put it in my pocket. And I get to 12, and I'm like, oh shit! I didn't put the Starburst in my pocket. I'm 3 down, and so I took the Starburst. I go, oh my god! So I go in my bag. I put it in my pocket. And the next shot, Rory hit it in the water. And I'm like, oh my god! And then I won the next hole to go 2 down. And so I had forgot to put the Starburst in my pocket for like the first 2 hours of the match, and I was bummed out about it. But having my son there at the tournaments now is so fun because he's 5 and he can sort of get it and he enjoys coming around, and it's just so fun to see him out there and have him, gave me that Starburst, and it was cool.
Is Starburst on the approved diet list? Because I know you've lost a ton of weight. When I saw you in Hawaii, I couldn't believe how skinny you looked, and I was like, "How did you lose this weight?" And you basically said, like, "Yeah, just kind of eat less."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't eat the Starburst, but yeah, I went on this crazy it's called the carnivore diet. If people listen to Joe Rogan, he talks about it all the time. But my neighbor owns a company called Up Wellness, and I leaned on him to get some help with. I was feeling I wasn't feeling my best, especially at the end of the season. I was feeling like tired, and so I went on this crazy carnivore diet, and I lost a ton of weight, and I felt and I feel unbelievable from it.
Dude, we talk about, so when Trent's on the show, he like, we just can't kick sugar and, you know, processed foods, and we're just pieces of shit when it comes to just eating McDonald's and Taco Bell. And whenever we can get our hands on sweets, like whenever we try and make that change, we actually feel worse for those first couple of weeks, and it makes you just feel like, I mean, it's just got it's just got a stranglehold on us. How did you kick like completely changing your diet? I've never been successful at being able to do that. It's always been just like you go for 2 or 3 days, you feel okay, but then it starts to hit you like I start to get the shakes. What was it like? How'd you get over that hump?
I'll tell you exactly what it was. I was playing BMW last year, so the second playoff event, and I was having a good. I went into the playoffs 33rd in the FedEx Cup. It's a pretty good year. I was looking to make the tour championship, and I played like horrible at Memphis and BMW. And I was walking up to the clubhouse on like Thursday or Friday, and I got to the locker room, and I was like tired. I hadn't even played yet. And then I found out about this is when they had the secret PGA Tour, the secret meeting.
The group of 20, you weren't invited?
And I was pissed. I was bummed out that, you know, it was sort of like a wake-up call for me. Like I was top 50 in the world at that time. I thought I should have been in the conversation. And that sort of not being invited to that, I was like, all right, bro, you got to make some changes here. Like you're not where you want to be. If the best players in the world don't view you as a top player, I used it as motivation, and I told myself once it became clear I wasn't going to make the tour championship, I was on the course thinking all day, the whole round, like this has got to be a wake up call, and you've got to go start when you get home right away. Like this can't be like, oh, I'm gonna at the end of the season I'm gonna take a couple weeks and rest, and you know, I was like, this has to start on Monday when you get back, and I'm very grateful for that motivation that those guys gave me. And I immediately went home and I talked to my neighbor, his name's Jake, and I got a plan together. And like you said, on day like 5 through 7, I felt horrible. I was tired, I was lethargic, but I kept reminding myself, like, dude, these guys think you stink. I just kept telling myself that.
That is crazy to me that actually had like an impact on you. Because we were joking about it, that it was like, oh, the cool kids got together without everyone else knowing and basically just reshaped the future of the PGA Tour. But we thought it was kind of a joke. To hear you say that not being invited like actually mattered to you and actually pissed you off is very interesting.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, like I don't have any animosity towards the players. Like I wasn't at that level. And I came in after like one of my rounds at the BMW, and I saw a bunch of the guys, they were getting ready to go into the meeting in like their street clothes. And it was just like, it was a motivating moment for me, because I feel like I want to be looked upon, especially amongst your peers, as, you know, they look at you and they're like, oh, this is one of the best players in the world, or this is a Ryder Cup player. This is a guy who can win majors. And I just whenever I was like tired or didn't want to go to the gym, or, you know, wanted to have some bad food, I just kept telling myself, these guys think you suck, man. Wow. Like they don't think you're good enough. Like they think you're done. And I just kept pounding it in my head. And there's this person, this is going to get a little deep, but there's this guy that I started to follow. His name is Nick Lavery. If you Google him, he's a Green Beret. He's from Boston, and he lost his leg in the military, and he was in a coma for however long. And so he comes out of the coma and he wants to go back into Green Berets. He's got no leg, and he's got a thick Boston accent, and he had a prosthetic, and he went through all the stuff and went back and re-enlisted in the Green Berets with I printed out this picture of, if you Google him, you'll see it right away. He's got a Red Sox hat on and he's got one leg. And I printed it out and I put it on my bathroom mirror. So I saw it every day and I'd look at it and I'd be like, make every decision today what this guy would do. And so I was on a mission. Like I still have it up there, and it just, like, every time I thought about not doing the right thing, I would think of that meeting, or I'd think of this Green Beret, and it would make me do the right thing.
I mean, the hair is just sticking up on the back of my neck. That's an unbelievable story. This seems like a complete switch in your attitude and the way that you were approaching the game. Was this the first time you ever took it to this level of seriousness? I mean, to become a major champion, 2-time Ryder Cup, you won 5 times.
It's not like you were a bum before,
right? Like, did you go through this when you were younger, or is this like a later in life like realization that you needed to get this extra edge just to keep going?
Well, I'm a pretty intense guy, especially when it comes to golf and what I do for my work. But it became very clear to me that, like, I needed to make some changes. And whatever works. So when you go through a course of your career, it's my 13th year on the tour. There's evolutions of your career. There's, like, I can't be the same player I was in 2012. Like, it's not going to be me. I have to make adjustments. I can't practice the same way. Like, everything has to change. And this was just a time where, I needed to adjust what I was doing. Like, I went in, like I said, I went into the FedEx Cup 33rd, which, is a pretty good year. It's not where I would want to be, but I had a chance to win the Players. I had a decent chance to win the US Open in Boston. And, like, it was a decent year, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. Like, I want to win, and I want to be on Ryder Cups and stuff like that. And I just thought, if I can just, at this level, you're looking for 1% improvements. And I felt like this was, my chance to work hard off the golf course.
You're like taking lessons from your boy Michael Jordan with this motivation stuff. Like, those, you not being invited to that meeting might have been just someone basically, like,
and I took
forgetting
that
or being
personally.
like, we don't really, like, need to, like, necessarily invite Keegan. Like, we'll tell him about it later. And you were like that. Like, you took that, you morphed it in your head, and it became, these guys think that you suck.
Yeah, and it was just motivation for me. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if they really thought that.
I don't think they think you suck.
In my head, in the meeting, that's all they were talking about. Keegan sucks.
In the meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a time where, like, I was pissed off really at myself for not winning, and I just needed any little motivation to get a leg up. And I felt like I needed to use this. Like, this moment had to be a turning point in my career. Whether, I don't know which way it was going to go, but I wanted it to be, at a level. And then I came back and I won my second event after that. I didn't make tour championship. And then my second event back is when I won. And that was why, after I won, I was so emotional, because I worked hard for that,
Can be quite stressful, fellas out there, to describe the kind of haircut that you want. Some people bring in pictures. You're pulling stuff on your phone. I want to look like this guy. People are like, but you don't look like that guy. Like, no matter what I do, you can't look like that guy. Even if you feel like you got it across, it's hard to know if your stylist really understands you. You got to be going over to our good friends at Sport Clips, Trent. They are the experts, the pros in men's haircuts.
Dude, I went to a Sport Clips right before I flew down here because I'm easy. There's some people who are not easy. I'm a 2-guard. You just go all the way around. It takes 8 minutes at Sport Clips, and they get me in, they get me out. I was there when I went there yesterday. There was a guy who brought a book of hairstyles so that he could show them, like, this is what I want. And the person at Sport Clips was like, I got it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to lug this book around to different barbershops. Just tell me what you want. I know what I'm doing. Sport Clips knows what they're doing. I can get it for you. And he was so relieved. But this guy, he's been to so many other places where they don't know what to do that he takes a book of pictures around that has the haircut that he wants. It was wild.
Can't be that guy. There's no need to be that guy because
No.
you got sport clips out there. Doesn't matter if your hair's balding, if it's billowing. Sport clip stylists are black belts in cutting men's hair. They have been specifically trained to do it. That's why they're the best. So next time you need a cut, come to Sport Clips and get a head-turning haircut from the pros in men's hair.
So you won that tournament in Japan. I went to I believe the first edition of that tournament when Tiger won it. And I'd never seen fans. I mean, obviously it was like Tiger, so they were going crazy.
Yeah.
But the difference is there was not one like mean person or not one meathead in the whole crowd. They just love golf. They just keep saying good shot and like are super happy when people make birdies. What was the crowd like in Japan? Because we didn't see as much of that tournament when it was on. And yeah, what was that week like?
So the year that Tiger won, I played with him in the final.
I remember that. You were in it.
Yeah, so we had like a crazy rain delay,
Yeah, there were no fans that day because there was like a monsoon or something.
In the last 36 holes, they didn't repair, so I played with him and Gary Woodland, and so I got to watch Tiger for 36 holes with the lead, and I got to watch him win, and it was really helpful. Like I learned a lot from that week, and the fans in Japan. I'll tell you what, Japan is as cool of a country as I've ever been to. They're just like, everything is spotless and the fans are so nice. Like if you're going in to get autographs and they line up on their own and they're really polite instead of like, throwing stuff at you or whatever. And it's just it's an incredible place to play golf. And I learned a lot from watching Tiger that week. But that's an up close look for 36 holes of the greatest player ever, I think. And I learned a lot watching him, and I learned, I watched how patient he was, and it was just really fun, cool for me. And then to, be able to win it a couple years later was extra special.
This point in your career, have you gotten to the point where you've been able to look back at where you came from and how this whole thing started, or are you still so into it that you really don't take that big picture look? I know you had a start over here right by me at Wheatley Hills, and I always hear, the stories always run through Long Island. Like he was working in the bag room and he would go out and play, and they'd make him work 10 hours and then he could go play. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to hear those stories about guys grinding just to try and get, a start. And now we're talking about, you're trying to get into this room for the best golfers in the world, and we consider you one of the best golfers in the world because the percentages are so small. I mean, have you had a chance to look back at this yet, or is it still so real and you're still so into it?
Yeah, I mean, I took a much different route to the tour than 99% of the guys. I Wheatley Hills, there's some guys there that without meeting them, I don't know if I'd be here. There's a guy, his name's Doc Maraca at Wheatley Hills. This quick story. I was playing the mini tours. I didn't grow up with a ton of money. I had a great childhood, but like I had to earn my money to play. And I was playing the Hooters tour, and I was in Houston, Texas, and Q school was due on Thursday that week, and I didn't have enough money. It was $4,500. I was in Houston, and I had like $1,200 in my bank account, and I called Doc Maraca at Wheatley Hills, and I said, Doc, dude, Q school's due on Thursday. I don't have enough money. Like I don't know what to do. Like I don't have enough money to maybe drive home. Like I'm in trouble here.
Holy shit.
And so I called Doc, and he said, how much is it? And I said, it's $4,500, which is like a ridiculous amount of money for back then. Like that's like, I've never had that much money in my bank account, and I have to pay it. And he goes, don't worry about it. And he wired me $6,000. So not only did I pay the tour school, now I got an extra $1,500. And I went on that week at Houston, and I won $35,000.
Oh my God,
unbelievable.
And
I'm gonna start
like
crying.
it was like such a weight off my shoulders. I won $35,000, and I mean I won the PGA championship, 13 months after that.
Oh my God.
That was the
That's
moment.
unbelievable.
Like that was the moment, because I went to tour school that year, got my Corn Ferry card. I missed out my tour card by 2, which was a blessing. So like back to your like, there's certain moments in my life that I feel so lucky that like if I don't go to Wheatley Hills and work in the bag room, they let me, I work 10 hours a week and I hardly did that. And then I go out and play with the members and meet guys like Doc on Maraca and, go to St. John's University, which is not a golf program. And then get to the tour. And I had to work for all of what I did. And back to your point, there was a moment probably 4 or 5 months ago. I was sitting at my house. I live at an amazing place in Jupiter on the Intercoastal, and I was looking around, going, I can't fucking believe that this is my life,
dude.
Like,
think about that and the juxtaposition between that and that phone call with Doc. It's like, it wasn't that long ago. If you really think about it, that's not that long ago.
And when I'm sitting there looking around, and I have a beautiful family. All my dreams have come true. And I then immediately after I had this feeling of panic, like, holy, like, what would I have done if I didn't do this? Like I'd be on the side of the road. I had no plan B. Like I remember at St. John's, they used to make you go in and go to a counselor to plan out your life after school. And you weren't allowed to say, I'm going to play professional sports, because that's what everyone says.
They would be like, haha, you go to St. John's.
Yeah. And so I'd go in there and it would be like, it would hurt my soul to say, oh, I'm going to go work in, finance or whatever. And I'd curl my toes in my shoes. Like this is like, and I'd have to go in there and fake, like, plan out my life if I didn't play on the tour. And I think about like that, like 18-year-old kid or the 20-year-old kid, like, is badass to not, like, that was it. I'm going to play the tour. I'm working in the bag room at Wheatley Hills, and it's not looking like I'm going to play the tour at this point. And I just kept working, and obviously it worked out.
That's why people keep going. That's why so many mini tour guys just can't give it up, because I mean, it is possible now with Q School having another path. You can go directly to the PGA Tour again. There might be some guy who was in that same position. That $35,000 that you won probably felt like a lot of money. Do you know how much money you've made in 11 starts this year?
I don't.
4.429 million. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But
so
I'll tell you this though, that was the biggest check I'll ever get. And I was driving home with John Curran, and we normally would drive all night so we wouldn't have to pay for a hotel room. And I was like, Johnny, I got this. And we stayed at a Holiday Inn, and which was like, we thought this was like, normally we're staying at like a Red Roof Inn, like
chilling at the Holiday Inn.
Oh my God. That's such an amazing story. One of the best we've heard on the podcast, honestly, because it's just so real and so many people can relate to it. Regardless of what job you're doing, there's a moment where you kind of don't know if you're going to be able to reach the goal that you have, and you kind of want to give up at some points, but you also don't want to, because you can't envision your life not doing the thing that you love to do. I mean, I just had this conversation on such a smaller scale. I was driving with one of my friends the other day, and we were just going to like our golf club, and I was like, dude, like 5 years ago I was making pizzas, or whatever it was, 8 years I was making pizzas. Like, what would I have been doing right now? We'd be waiting online to pizzas. Like barely get into a public golf course, like scrapping money together to try and like buy new clubs, and like I'm sending him TaylorMade clubs now, and it was a moment of just like, what else would we have fucking done? Like, I don't know what option B was. I'm running Borelli's. Like, I don't understand. Like, you don't actually know what's going to happen. And it's amazing that like it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what your field is. Like, you just can't give up. You got to just keep pushing along. And it's really motivating to hear you say that, because I feel like now, even though you've been so successful, to hear you talk about how you have this, like, whatever you want to call it, a resurgence or just a new way of thinking or whatever, to be able to do that 12 years or whatever into this thing is really, really admirable. And I think everyone can take a little bit of something from that, because you can never just be complacent. You have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I think it's adapting too. Like,
totally.
You never want to. I did very well at the beginning of my career on the tour, and you never want to say, I want to get back to that person or that player or that swing. It's like, you got to you got to adapt and be what you're going to do best this year. I can't look at what Rory does and try to copy what he does. I have to do my own route. Like I went down the route of lifting weights and I hired a trainer, and it's the worst golf I've ever played. So like, that's not going to be a thing for me. Like I have to stay very lean, do a lot of cardio, some core, but like I can't get muscly because my swing gets messed up. And it's the shortest I've ever hit it was then. So like I have to figure out what's best for me and what I think I need to do to get better.
Trying to find a helpful mortgage lender is incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly confusing. It's incredibly difficult to know or have any clue if they're giving you the right rates, if there's someone that really cares about you or your home or your family or your just general peace of mind. Buying a home is probably the biggest thing you'll ever do. Could you imagine anything bigger?
No, that's definitely up there. And I would say, so I'm of the group. I know Riggs has got a place. Frankie's obviously got a place. I have not made that jump yet. And I think part of it, and I bet there's a lot of people out there like me who are intimidated by the entire process. You think about like, all right, I've been renting my whole life. You're just burning cash. Then it gets you nothing. But you think like, oh, if I want to buy a house, that's a whole other set of problems. And it's very intimidating. But with a place like Cross Country Mortgage, I believe, and Frankie and Riggs can attest to this, they make it far simpler than you think it is.
They really do. Cross Country Mortgage, they got a team of loan officers dedicated to getting it done and finding you the best possible loan terms available. Average close time, 21 days. That's incredibly fast. They got a wide variety of loan types. Means they've got everything to cover everyone. And like I said, it's probably going to be the biggest purchase you'll make in your life. It'll definitely be the biggest purchase you've made up to this point. You're going to be borrowing a lot of money to get it done and then pay that mortgage. So you want to be borrowing it from somebody that you trust and know. And nobody does that better than Cross Country Mortgage. If you're ready to tee off on a loan, visit Cross Country Mortgage. Our short game might stink, but our ability to find you an awesome loan is pretty darn awesome. Go to crosscountrymortgage.com/barstool so Cross Country Mortgage can take care of you through the home buying process. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. Visit www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. And once again, run over to crosscountrymortgage.com/barstool now.
Moving topics a little bit. Obviously we have a big golf tournament next week. I was looking at your Masters history. You've made the cut 5 or 6 times. I don't think you finished in the top 20. So you've kind of been living in that like T20 to T45 range. What are your thoughts on the Masters and what are you doing differently this year to maybe spark something?
Well, the Masters has been brutal to me over the years. It's drove me crazy, but it's such a hard golf course. People don't realize it. Like when people watch on Sunday and people are making eagles and,
well, that's the thing about golf in general is they only show the best players who are playing well.
Yeah. I think Augusta's the hardest course in the world. If you put rough at Augusta, like there's no rough, it's first cut. If you put legit rough at Augusta, I don't know what the scores would be. They'd be astronomically high. So,
what to you is the most difficult part of Augusta? Like what makes it
the front 9, 1 through 11, 12 too. I mean, you can make a mess at 12. I think is the hardest stretch for me because everything is so precise. Like if you hit a shot and it is a 5 feet right of where you want to hit it, it's going to roll and you're going to get to a spot where you're like, I don't know if I can get this on the green, a chip shot. Forget about getting it up and in. You're just like, how can I get this on the green and try to make a bogey? It's just a really difficult course. And the guys, that's why you see a lot of the same guys up at the leaderboard because it suits a certain type of player. And like you see older players that have won the Masters, like Angel Cabrera would always pop up and like, they just know how to play it. And I felt like, so I've never played Augusta with a short putter. I've always had a belly putter or an arm putter. And I thought that was a huge disadvantage because you lose so much feel with that style putter. Your putting from off the green is so tough with a long putter. And putting, the one thing people don't realize is the uphill putts at Augusta are so slow because they're so slow. And with a belly putter or a long putter, you don't have that ability to pop it. And so I always felt like I was at a disadvantage there. And I'm excited to go there now with a different putter. And who knows, maybe this will be the difference.
Yeah, and it's also one of those situations where it's so slow going up the hill, but the last thing you want to do is leave yourself 3 feet coming down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're putting. You've been working with Phil Kenyon, who I know is a putting guru. He's been working with Max Homa, Matt Fitzpatrick, a guy who's not really fond of the spotlight, so you won't really see him that often. But he's always on the putting greens, kind of working with the best players. What's working with Phil been like?
Well, so I really struggled with my putting for a while, and I'd get on these machines and all this, and they'd be like, your stroke's great. It's fundamentally sound. It's one of the best strokes we've seen. And meanwhile, my putting stats are some of the worst on tour. And I was horrible. I hated hearing that. I wanted to hear you suck. Your putting, like you're taking it too far outside. It's coming in close, because I can work on that. I can fix that. Yeah. But when they tell you it's good, it's like, oh, well, that stinks. And so Phil was the first guy, because he said the same thing to me. He was the first guy that was like, all right, we got to work on green reading and alignment. And like, he figured out that I was over reading greens, and then I was aiming high of that line. So if the putt was going to break a cup left to right, I was reading it to break 2 cups left to right, and then aiming a cup high on that. So I had no chance. Didn't matter how good my stroke was. It was just like, fundamentally, I was aiming high of a over read. So didn't matter what I did.
Did you miss every single putt high?
Not every putt, but that was my tendency, was to overread and then aim high on the overread. And so it was the first time I'd had a real tangible thing that a person had said about with my putting that made sense, and it like immediately worked. And it was just, when you putt bad, I mean, you guys know, it's so horrible. Like, the game sucks. Like, it's just
feel like you're never going to make a birdie.
Especially when you're like, ball striking is at a high level and you're hitting it to 10 feet a lot. And it's just like, it's exhausting. And Phil really helped me with that.
We're having Trevor Immelman on in a little bit, and I just did a video with him just trying to figure out what a straight, like how to putt to a straight line for me when reading a break. So he really figured out where I have to aim. And I was struggling, like what you're saying, where I was like overreading things or not reading it enough. And like, I just couldn't find that spot. And we finally found a spot where it's like, let's see where this ball has to roll over, and let's putt to a straight line and get that ball to roll over that line. And I had never been told so simply, like in that way. Putting's always been another language to me. And now, right, it's less frustrating to go out and play because I have a plan. Maybe it's not going in. I'm on a PGA Tour player, whatever, but I'm making my game better, and it's way less exhausting to play around a golf when like there's a chance that the ball goes in for me now, and I have that confidence where it's like, I think I can make this, as opposed to like, let's just try and not 3-putt. I hated that feeling. That was the worst feeling ever to play golf. Like,
it's the worst.
I may still 3-putt a lot, but at least I don't have that mentality right now, where it's like, I think I can make this in one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm convinced, especially at a pro level, the only thing that matters in putting is your green reading and your alignment. Like, if you cut across it, but you do it every time, or you hook your putts and you do it every time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your stroke is. Like, if you read it right and hit it where your read is and your read is correct, it doesn't matter how you putt it. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, like Brooks Koepka, if you look at the warm cam of his putting when he was winning majors, there was a loop in his stroke. He would take it inside, it would come up across, and he would kind of cut across it.
Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's the same thing over and over. And I remember, I think Scott Fawcett was the person who told me this, that it goes with what you said, hitting a putt online is just not that hard. Like, if you get someone you got a 6 handicap on one of those perfect putting mats where it's a straight putt and there's no break, they're going to make like 95% of them. It's just not that difficult to hit it on the line. It's just speed control and green reading.
Yeah. And then when you're pressing, anytime you're pressing, when you're putting, like you've missed a bunch of, putts you should have made. like this, they pile up, and then you're like, I gotta make this one, and then it snowballs. So when you have a plan, and like you said, you had a plan of what you're gonna do, it's always super helpful.
So you're at the Grove. You're just going to practice now. When do you head down to Augusta?
So one of the great things
Or
about the
up?
Grove is they've for the past like week or so, they crank the greens up for us. So like the back of the range, they double cut them, and then there's like, I saw there's a green at the Grove that's a 4-degree slope, a 3-degree slope, 2-degree slope, 1-degree slope. So it's like this, and so there's normally 4 cups. They're just in a line, so you can work on aim point or whatever. And so this is what, like, the beautiful thing about the Grove is I saw the superintendent. So the corner of the putting greens is at like a 4 or 5-degree slope. So I said, hey, do you think you could put some cups on these extreme slopes? Because this is what we're going to see at Augusta. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So they put all these cups out for us. They've been cranking the green. So like the back green is probably, 13 or whatever. And so we can go out there and get ready, because the greens, it's starting to get hot here. So it's hard to get the greens fast, but they've been prepared for it. And it's just like, it's just amazing. It's just so incredible.
Are you seeing other guys? Because obviously a bunch of pros. Is everyone out there practicing on those little holes?
Yeah.
Are you guys like kind of not looking at these guys because we're getting ready for the same golf tournament?
It's not really like that now. If you're in the final group, maybe, but like, it's the Grove is such a fun place for a tour player, because you go to the back of the range and like, these are the best players in the world that are out here. Like this, they're getting ready to go, and there isn't a better, and in my eyes, there isn't a better place to prepare to play golf than the Grove. And they just like, they've created an atmosphere here for the pros, for everybody, but for the pros, it's like, this is where we come to work, and like they do anything to help us get better, and that goes all the way to Michael. Like he wants the Grove to be a place to get better and win, and win majors, and we have a responsibility to do that, I think.
So you said on any given day he'll be walking around. If when you're there, how often does he include himself in these rounds of golf with you guys? Will he just like come out and hit with you guys? Does he ask you guys to play matches, or does he bounce around?
Yeah, I mean, I say all the time, there isn't a human being in the world that loves golf more than Michael. It's simple. Like it's all he wants to do, and he's just it's very strange as a kid or a person to grow up idolizing somebody, and just to meet them is pretty incredible. But to become friends with a person that you idolized is the strangest thing you could ever imagine. And then to meet a guy like Michael and just see he's just the greatest guy. Like if he wasn't Michael, if he wasn't, the greatest athlete ever, you'd still want to hang out with him. He's the best. And he's always there for us. He's always there for a game. I mean, he plays every day. So if you want to go, if you're looking for a game, he's here playing. So he's always looking for a match, and he's just a great guy to be around.
The sun can be a real problem, man. The sun could cause serious issues. It can harm your skin, obviously. It can harm your eyes, your eyeballs. It can make it hard to see. You're out there squinting. Can't have that day in and day out. Can't have that when you're a golfer. You're spending a bunch of time outside. You're trying to look at greens, read greens. You're trying to find the ball in the sky after you hit it. Shady Rays, Trent Daddy. These are our guys. These have been they've been with us for years now. And I got to say, I have a bunch of pairs of Shady Rays. I haven't even opened these ones yet. I just bought these. I love this. Yeah, this is like kind of their classic, the brown look. And then I love the different frames. Kind of gives you a different look that day. So I bought a bunch of pair. And this is a company that, we work with them. If we really wanted to, we could email them. They'd send us stuff. I like them so much. I just go to their website and buy. They got an amazing, if you break a pair, if you lose a pair, they'll send you a brand new pair. So we're as Shady Rays, as big as Shady Rays fans as I think you could be of anything on earth.
The warranty thing is very important because if you have ever owned sunglasses, anybody who has ever owned a pair of sunglasses has broken a million pairs of sunglasses. And to have that warranty in place, they're great about it. Shady Rays, nobody does it better. If you break your pair, they're going to send you a new one. That's reason enough to become a Shady Rays person.
They're also an independent sunglasses company, so they offer a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've ever worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for all of your outdoor adventures. And like we said, Shady Rays offers the most insane protection of any eyewear that I've ever heard of. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use the code FORE for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. It's that simple. Use that code FORE, FORE. Go to shadyrays.com. You're going to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses only at shadyrays.com.
And not only with Michael, but I mean, you grew up a Boston sports fan, right? And now all of a sudden, like, you're throwing out first pitches at Red Sox games, and like you're just always in the mix with Boston sports. Has that been kind of a wild trip for you to, like, you know, be buddies with all these guys on all your favorite teams?
So it's so amazing. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. It's just the greatest thing. I mean, I last year, the Patriots, before they played the Dolphins, they came down to Jupiter randomly, and they practiced before their game against Miami. And so I try to keep my distance, but I was like, geez, they're right here practicing. It's all over the news. And I'm like, I gotta see if I can go to this practice. So I work up the nerve I know a guy in the organization, and I was like, hey, is there any way? I totally get it if not, but is there any way can I come to the practice? So they go, hold on, we're going to go ask Belichick. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting around and waiting. And the guy goes, Belichick would love for you to come. So I'm all jacked up. So I go to this practice, and it's literally the team, and I'm the only person not on the team at the practice. And there's 2 fields like side by side, and Belichick, I talked to Belichick. He's like, feel free, walk wherever you want. And I'm nervous, and like I don't want to get in the way. And so I'm kind of staying back, and Belichick was kind of walking from field to field, and he saw me sort of away from the field. He goes, "You can't see shit from back there. Come stand right here." And I stood next to him on the sideline, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing." And then they, at the end of the practice, they bring everybody in, and I hear Belichick address the team. And then I hear Devin McCourty give the rah-rah speech, and like, I'm ready to I'm ready to go, man. And it was like, those are the moments like I pinch myself, because I at one point I'm standing, I'm watching the Patriots do a 2-minute drill with Mac in there, and I'm 20 feet from Mac. I'm standing behind, so they're snapping the ball behind.
You're hearing every word he's saying.
I'm hearing every word. I'm hearing the guys yell at each other. I'm hearing the audibles, and it's just like, this is the best.
That's so fucking sick. I love that stuff. I love how passionate you are about just sports in general. It's really cool to see that you've kept that throughout all these years, even being a professional athlete yourself. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. I mean, I have a hard time. The Patriots I'm able to follow a lot easier just because they play way less. But I try to follow all the teams, and like my favorite thing to do in the entire world is watch the Boston sports team play.
And your Bruins are a problem. We talked about it before we started recording. I mean, my Islanders are like fighting tooth and nail just to get into the playoffs, and like at some point it's just going to be all to play the Boston Bruins, and it's like, why do we even fucking put ourselves through this just to play the absolute problem that is the 2023 Boston Bruins?
I know, the hockey's so different though. Like, you get a hot goalie, and then like you can be the greatest regular season team ever and lose in that first round if that other goalie gets hot.
It's one of those things though where it's like going into the playoffs, I haven't seen a team. Obviously, Tampa Bay, they won 2 in a row, and it was like that team was pretty fucking good to play. Obviously, they beat the Islanders twice and took a Stanley Cup away from me. But I cannot imagine the Boston Bruins losing 4 games in like a week right now. I don't know how
can't
that's
either.
physically or mentally possible for them to lose 4 in the matter of like 8 days. They've lost like 9 all year. How could you possibly lose 4 in one series?
The only thing I can think of is that, I would imagine they'd be resting guys more at the end of this year without this record in play. It's the only thing I can think of, that these guys are going to be, they're going hard every night, although they sat a bunch of guys the other night, I think against Ottawa, and they still won.
And they beat Carolina, I think. They went back-to-back with like nobody in the lineup.
That's the team, Carolina. They've given them fits. That'll be a series if they play each other.
For sure.
Give me a little ranking of Boston sports franchises among, because I'm from Los Angeles and like the Lakers are king just because they've been incredible. Obviously, Los Angeles is a terrible sports town compared to Boston.
Terrible.
But okay, well, I didn't need you to say
it. Really
that,
is terrible.
So
who's is it the Red Sox who's highest in the total?
No, it's the Patriots are number one. I mean, especially during the Brady years. The Red Sox are like when the Red Sox are always on in the background. Like when I go to my grandmother's house, like the Red Sox are on in the background. Like everybody's aware, but there's so many games. Like the Patriots and the Bruins, man. They're like, my parents used to let me skip school when they would go to have a parade, for when they'd win. And the Bruins was always the craziest parade. Like they were always like the most people, and everyone's going fucking crazy. And it's like, it's so like the fan bases are so passionate. Like I'd put the Bruins as like, if you go to a Bruins playoff game, that's crazy.
It's crazy that the team you haven't mentioned. The team you haven't mentioned is the Boston Celtics, which are like the most iconic basketball team. You guys are just an embarrassment of riches.
Growing up, that they were my favorite of all of them. And they're incredible. Like it just seems like every year there's a chance. I mean, if I was to rate them in the Boston, I would go Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins. I'd probably put Red Sox, Bruins, and then Celtics in terms of popularity. But in Boston, it's every team is popular. Like every team is major. Like that's all the people sit around all day just to watch their teams play.
Yeah, being a New Yorker, it's like I want to puke in my mouth talking this much Boston sports, but it is what it is. I mean, they're always the best rivalries. I'm always up for a good screaming match with a Boston fan. But hey, man, we really appreciate you hopping on for this long. I know that you're out practicing. I know that you're grinding. We're excited to see you at the Masters with that new putter. So best of luck, man. Thank you for everything. I mean, I almost cried like twice, like with your stories. So, I mean, you're the fucking man. You've always been the man, the Barstool, the People's Golfer 2.0, as Dave crowned you. So thanks again, Keegan Bradley. Really appreciate the talk.
Thanks, boys.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks, dude.
See you next week.